I think it's so amazing what you do. Can you tell everyone exactly what you do?
Well, I've been a vet for 26 years now, but for half of those years, I have devoted my time to caring for pets of our unhoused population. So I pack a bag full of medical goods, and I just walk the streets, and I find unhoused people who own pets, and I deliver care, free care.
Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. Have you always wanted to be a veterinarian?
Since I was a boy, yeah, probably 7.
Since you were 7?
7. I knew, oh no! Why would you do that to me?
Aww. Did you have pets growing up at all?
We had a lot of pets. So Mom always had dogs and cats. When I was a little older, she had peacocks and chickens and horses. She had a ranch for a while. So animals have always been a big part of my life, and I've loved it.
Me and my son always wanted a ranch, so that sounds like us. What is the moment that led you to wanting to work with the unhoused community?
It was, as I said, about 13 years ago, and I was a shelter veterinarian at the time, and I was sort of going through a rough time in my career. I'd actually contemplated quitting, just walking away from being a veterinarian altogether. And on this particular day, I was outside of a 7-Eleven, and there was this unhoused man there with his dog. His dog had a really bad skin issue, and you do this long enough, you can almost diagnose things from across the street. I saw it, and sadly, I had seen this man before, but walked right by him, had ignored him. But on this day, probably because of whatever state of mind I was in, I stepped over, introduced myself. So it was just a flea issue. But when fleas are bad enough, they can destroy the skin. This dog looked like a burn victim on the hind end. And I said, you know what, I'll be here tomorrow with something that should help. And I returned as promised. And it was a basic flea treatment. It was $3 out of my pocket, 5 more minutes of my time. And then I saw the same dog and the same man about 12 days later, and the dog was transformed. She was full of life. She was wagging her tail. And the man sitting in the same spot I had met him looked up at me with tears in his eyes, and he just said, "Thank you for not ignoring me." And
that's what made you say you had to keep going.
I said, not only am I not going to quit doing what I'm doing, being a vet, I'm going to find more people like you.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Well, tell us about your nonprofit organization, Project Street Vet.
Project Street Vet. So I had done this work very quietly. When I say quietly, I almost mean secretly, for about 6 years. I didn't tell anybody. My son was really the first person who kind of knew about what I was doing because he was part of my first little pop-up clinic 13 years ago. Yeah, that's him there. And I'd done the work sort of in the shadows because it wasn't something I really wanted to talk about. As I said, I was going through this healing part of my career, and it was easier for me just to tuck away and do the work and not talk about it. But it got to the point where I was having to tell people, no, I can't help you, because some of these procedures, and for people who own pets, you know this, some of these procedures, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and I was funding this out of my own pocket, and I found myself some months not paying my own student loans because I had made this commitment to these people I had met, and I wanted to honor it. But it got hard on me financially. So my brother came along and said, we gotta mix this up. So we started the charity. And what I found is Americans are crazy generous, especially when it comes to pets. And this thing runs entirely on donations from everyday people out there. We have a wonderful title sponsor in Fetch Pet Insurance who helps us expand city to city. Because I started out, as you know, in LA. It was just here in Skid Row.
Right.
And now we're in 6 different cities around the country.
Look at that.
Yeah.
If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to the Jennifer Hudson Show YouTube channel. Check your local listings or visit jenniferhudsonshow.com to see when you can watch full episodes in your area. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter.